Hi, this is Jesse Aron. Welcome to the ETA Files. Looking forward to telling you a little bit about myself with my friend Ryan Pelton today.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this week on ETA Files. Special guest, the one and only Jesse Aron. How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, man. Good to have you on. I just saw you up in Elvis Explosion in La Crosse, Wisconsin. It was good to see you. We pulled away with a second place finish. You were awesome.
I was very happy.
Yeah, man. How you been?
Been doing pretty good. Getting out on the other side of dealing with my losing my folks over the last year, but I'm at the other end of that now, and it's an unfortunate part of everybody's life, and we all have to deal with it. But I'm coming out of that now and focusing back on work and everything now. So doing
It's a,
much better.
yeah, man. It's a rough time, and
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that, Jesse. So I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, it's okay, man. It's like I said, my mother was 85, my father was 80 years old. It was just hard because it was back to back. So that was been a year of like stress eating and all of that stuff just to make myself feel good to get through it. And now back to work is helping me feel good to get through it as well. So
Oh man, I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad that you're working your way through it. My wife just lost her mother, and I can't imagine what it'll be like whenever my parents are it's their time. So
yeah,
man, wow. Okay,
it's a rough start.
out the gate, man. Wow. So every time I get someone on here, the thing that I love about this podcast, Jesse, is I know so many guys in this business, but I don't know their story all the time. I know bits and pieces of it. You hear a little bit here and there, but you never really get to hear that story before the story started. Like how in the world you how in the world do you get involved in this business? I mean, it is kind of remarkable if you think about it. There's this whole industry, the ETA world, the Elvis world, where there are professions where you get to perform as someone else, king of rock and roll, greatest entertainer of all time, and but finding that world and that industry isn't always easy. So tell us your story. Like, how did you get started in this? And I mean, from the very beginning.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Chicago. I was born there and raised there by my both of my parents, and both my parents just had regular old jobs. They were just high school smart type folks, and so mother was a waitress, and dad was jumping around from all these different jobs. He was a United States Marine Corps. He did all that good stuff, and then he worked for the Chicago Police Department for a little while. So they were always looking for like a supplementary income, something else that they could do to bring a little bit extra money to the table. So they started a band, a rock and roll band. And this is long before karaoke tracks were ever a thing. So it was like all these different personalities were always at my house when I was growing up as a kid. And watching your dad do Elvis was kind of mind blowing. He would put on the jumpsuit. And then, of course, my mother had this whole leather outfit. Talk about conflicting feelings for a child, you know. So all these band practices were always going on in my house when we lived down there. So I was just kind of raised in it,
Yeah.
and they were always listening to music always around me. So, and it came, this, you're talking like the 1980s too. So this was like, I was coming up with parents that did this while people like Michael Jackson were real popular, and that was my thing. I liked Michael Jackson. Like, I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. So then I discovered all this Elvis stuff by watching my parents have all these rehearsals all the time. And it just kind of mesmerized me. And it just, I mean, even my dad was even on an episode of Oprah Winfrey years and years ago. He was an audience member. They like filled the audience with like tribute artists from all over the world, impersonators back then. Uh, and so they like flashed on my dad in the audience, and he had his Elvis hair and all that stuff. So he got around doing his thing too. And his name was Jesse Aron as well. So I kind of just adopted that and tried to do something a little bit better with it. But it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. It's definitely especially having your own hair and all of that stuff. It's a conversation piece, but it was there. It was I was deep seated in it constantly all the time, and watching those rehearsals. And I even went on some of these things with my father as like his little roadie, and I would help him carry stuff in, whatever I could, whatever I could lift at the time, which was usually a mic stand or something simple. But that's how it started. It was just all deep seated with my mom and dad.
Oh, that's
Just trying to make a little extra money in Chicago. It was a big city, and it was expensive there, and they did what they could.
that's awesome. Man. That's a sweet story, man. That's kind of cool. I did not know
Thanks.
that. What in the world is in the water in Chicago, man?
I know.
During that time period, it's like that's where I feel like so much of this exploded out of, Chicago all the way to Niles, because you got to include the Irv Casses, the Doug Churches, and all that. But man,
Yeah.
and everything in between, from Portage to you name it, like there is there was an explosion. It seems like in the 80s, 90s, or whatever in that area that just took off, man.
Yeah, we didn't know. For a while there, we were like, "What? Did Elvis spend a lot of time here? And we didn't know about it. Are we really? These parents really my parents? What's going on?" But it was like I came up during Rick Cicito's like peak,
Yeah.
and my father and him were just like oil and water, man. My dad was very jealous of other people's talents and stuff. I get it now. I didn't get it then when I was a kid, but as soon as I saw Rick, I think that one of the first events I went to was Portage Elvis Fantasy Fest back in the day,
Yeah.
and it was before I ever did any of this. I'm like, wow, an Elvis festival. I said, and it's for Special Olympics. I go, this could be a fun weekend. And then I saw Rick there performing. He was headlining, and he pointed at me and he referenced me because I favor my dad. So I think he recognized me. And then I went and said hello to him. He says, I know who you are. He says, you look just like your father. And I'm like, oh, thank you for that. Appreciate it. So
That's
yeah, the Rick Cicitos and the Trent Carlinis and all of them. I was just all amongst all those people growing up.
Yeah. And I mean, even before that, you think back, Johnny Spence,
Yeah,
thus the name, the
yeah,
expense account band. Man, all this happened like in this Chicago area. It's just, and I mean, you'd think, hey, maybe it's going to be New York, LA. Certainly should be Las Vegas or Memphis, but it wasn't, man. It was this Midwest Chicago, it's kind of crazy.
yeah. It's just like it exploded here, and it was just like all throughout the Midwest. All those names you mentioned, it was just those were the men that I met the first time I started going out and doing a little bit of research on all this stuff. And then Doug was one of the first ones to reach out to me, like when the internet started and all that stuff.
Doug Church.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's the other part of the story. Because this is where I kind of heard when you first, kind of got into it, started doing it yourself, that Doug was kind of a mentor to you, which I can't think of a better mentor in so many ways. What time was this? Like, what year was this about?
if I were to guess, it was when they had Lady Luck Music. Before they were Lady Luck Music, you remember they used to
Joanne
run
and
the radio up in Canada and everything like that. They held a contest online, and so this, if I were to guess, this probably was back in '99, maybe
okay.
2000. It was really early when the internet first started. So they ran a contest called the Voice of Elvis competition, and I'm like, whatever, I was brand new. I was just starting to sing and with all these little tracks and stuff. And I had finally, got myself recorded in a studio and stuff. So I submitted a couple of songs and it just, you'd sit and wait. And then all of a sudden the results came out for this competition. And I ended up being like in the top three. It was between myself, Doug Church, and if I remember correctly, Rick Cicito. And so obviously Doug ended up winning the Voice of Elvis thing, and it kind of took off for him after that. And then because he noticed I was in that top three, he reached out to me because he never knew who I was before, and asked who I was. And at the time, I was a big guy. I was always a really big guy. In my early 20s, I was probably about 330 pounds at the time. I was a big boy, and so he reached out and he gave me lots of compliments. Told me that he enjoyed, hearing the tunes and stuff that I had uploaded, and he said that maybe sometime we could do something together. And I was all over that because I was really excited. It was brand new, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy that just won this. And I was always about the voice. Whoever could sound like Elvis, would have me mesmerized. So like I was a big fan of Doug already, and Cicito and Trent Carlini, and then of course Jimmy Ellis Orion. I was a
Yeah.
huge fan of his, and Ronnie McDowell as well. So anybody that kind of carried those good vocals, man, I was all over that. So, and then we finally ended up getting together, and I have it on video somewhere on VHS video of the first performance with Doug, and it's definitely a learning experience. When I watch that, it makes me laugh every day. But I mean, we all start somewhere. But oof, it was rough.
Oh,
It's really rough.
yeah. Well, I'm sure it wasn't. Was it a track show?
It was the Doug show, and we were doing it at ZB Falcons in Indiana, which was kind of like the place that all of the guys in the Midwest went. It was like their place to perform it, and we just had a few people, like you said, there was a few people that were there for a show for Doug, and then he introduced me, and I was wearing my first jumpsuit and everything, and it was just, whew, man, it was very memorable for sure.
You say that, and I'm like, I want to know what you mean. Oh,
Well, because I was such a big guy and I was so awkward at the time,
yeah,
I hadn't nowhere near come into my own at all. And I was really kind of a shy guy when I first started, and it terrified me to even think about having to get in front of people and perform or anything. Uh, so it was really those first steps. So I watched that video and I could tell that I'm scared. I'm like, oh my
yes,
God, I remember what I felt like right there, and just my insecurities with how I looked and everything. And it was just that took getting used to putting yourself out there in front of people you know are judging you against one of the greatest entertainers to live, and you know that you're not there yet, but you're thankful that this guy that you just met, who's amazing,
yeah,
gave you this opportunity. So it was all those emotions all just balled up into one, and I'll never forget it. But and now I'll never forget it because it's actually documented. I might release it someday and put it out there. But my wife Terry tells me, "Oh, you got to put it out there. People should know how hard you've worked and where you've come
yes.
from and everything." So
I agree, man. Own everything, own the past.
yeah.
And I mean, listen, there's no doubt about it, Jesse. You're the level of entertainer and performer and vocalist, obviously, now that it's endearing to see that you weren't always amazing. You know?
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's an endearing thing, not a hit on you for sure.
No, God, I understand. I understand that now. Like, as I said, when I watch them now, they make me giggle, they make me laugh, and it reminds me of how far I've come. And sometimes you need to watch those things. Like, if you're not feeling so good about yourself, I'll pop some of that stuff in or watch some of those old videos, and I'm like, all right, I'm good.
Isn't it
I'm all right. I'm good now.
isn't it funny how when you're watching video of you, you know, like you know yourself so well, like that you can be like, oh man, that was fake, or that was wrong, or that was,
Hmm.
contrived, or that was I'm insecure there, or why am I doing that? Because and boy, don't ever, I can tell you that too. Just don't ever be in a movie. Oh,
Oh my God.
that's the
I know,
hardest
like
thing to,
but it's so cool though to be able to have seen you in the movies too. Like, and I've been on Jerry Springer. That's it, and I put that out there every now and then. I was one of those audience members that razz the guests on stage, which is really definitely more my speed than having to, memorize lines and everything. And you got to work with some great people too. Like we've got the autograph poster here down here in the bar too. So
yeah,
I
yeah. I'll tell
appreciate
you
that.
what, you want to talk about a pressure cooker. No, that's for another episode, another day. But man,
Yeah, exactly.
wow, wow. Um, so throughout your career, you and Doug have been pretty tight. Has he, he brought you along, so to speak?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, dude, you
yeah.
can't find a better, and I mean, probably just how great is that too? Because you guys are both just amazing vocalists. To have a guy like him, and ironically too, I love this. Doug has been a large part too in supporting and bringing along Jimmy Holmes.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah, I remember Jimmy when he was little. Like, and Doug and I would do shows with his dad. It would
yeah,
be the three of us that would be doing shows, and then there's Jimmy just hanging out in the at the shows and watching every single thing. And there he goes, another generation. It's gone straight to the top and made the ultimate. It's just you never know
yeah,
who you're around or where they're gonna be or how it's gonna go. But Doug and I were very close. We used to switch jumpsuits all the time and everything. Like when I didn't have the great money to have all those beautiful jumpsuits and stuff, we were once I lost the weight, we were right around the same size for a long time. So we would just swap suits every now and then, and he would borrow my man Tiger all the time, and I would borrow whatever he would be willing to give me at the time. So, which, as you know, is very sacred for an ETA to borrow a jumpsuit of that price range, to somebody else. And so we were close. We were very close for a while,
yeah.
and we still work together.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's what they call a power couple.
Right?
You
Yeah,
know,
in the ranks. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It was. We always had good fun, good times, and good fun.
That's awesome, man. Man, that it's still just I'm so amazed at that area because I remember, dude, I lived in Columbus, Ohio when I first started. I'm
Okay.
still I'm still so amazed at that Chicago all the way over to South Bend area. Well, I started on a dare for my mom. I tell this story all the time, but I was living in Columbus, Ohio. All the action, man, all the action was up that way, you know. So if I wanted a gig, I had to drive at least the 4.5 hours to South Bend or the 6 hours to Chicago. And like you, I worked with Lady Luck Music in Canada, Joanne. They'd bring me up.
Yep.
that was a huge part in the early stages of the career. And then, of course, the Elvis Entertainers Network, Nance Fox.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But that was all Chicago centric, man. And I didn't
Yeah.
get a lot of work from it, obviously, because I was a 6-hour drive, but man, and that, I think that was just one of those things too, that bolstered that market, because there was guys coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I remember anytime Nance's group would come to any kind of a festival or event, it was like watching that scene from 3,000 Miles of to Vegas when for 3,000 Miles of Grayson, when they're all just kind of walking through the casino in slow motion. That's kind of what it was. You'd have like Irv Cass and Matt King and all of these other guys just come walking in, and you're like, what is this? What's going on? We're being invaded. It was like that at Potawatomi when you and I were there, and Nance kind of came in with her whole troop of people, and I was like, oh man, this just got a lot harder.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Speaking of Potawatomi, this is a fun story. This is a great story, man. And it's about you. And I'm going to share it. I had started out, like a lot of guys do, doing contests because that was the best way to get known. And it was all that South Bend, Chicago area where I do all these contests. And early on, man, I had never lost a contest. And it's certainly not because I was a singer or am a singer even today. It was because I was doing 50s, had a decent look, and it was just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it would make the guys so mad. I know now in retrospect, and I get it. I totally do. Like Doug Church, man, hated me. And we don't even talk about it, but I know, like, because I hear all the time, oh, that dude's just eye candy. And it was right. I'm totally fine with that because he was right. But I had gone through all these, all this stuff to get your name out, and it led to other things. Well, I got out of the contest circuit because in short order, I started working with Legends in Concert.
Right.
All right. So I worked with Legends in Concert all these years, and it was like, I forget the year exactly what it was, but I would always, because January, we had off January, I would go and do Potawatomi. Okay, here's this contest. And I was already on the Elvis birthday tribute tour, working with Dan and whatnot,
Right.
and Mar and Sean Clush. And I would go and do Potawatomi. So the contest, and I won it. If I'm not mistaken, I won it the first year, and then I won it the second year. And then the third year, they did this thing where every night you're going to be competing for, I think it was $5,000 first place.
Yeah, it was like $5,000. It was a good way to start the year.
Yeah. And I think it was the first night I entered and won. And if I'm not no, maybe I missed the first night. I entered one of them and won. I couldn't enter the last one. No, I entered the first two and won them, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I couldn't be at the last one because I had to go back on tour with the Elvis birthday tribute show. But on that, I think it was a Friday night, Thursday night, whatever it was, I got second place. And it was the first time in my life someone had beat me in a contest. And it was you. And
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's the best thing that could ever happen to me, because, it was, in many ways, I'm not built for contests anyways, but in many ways it was, it was understanding a realization of like, don't you've got a house built on sand, so to speak. And there's all kinds of things that happened that night. Like, that was the first time I ever really wore the leather. And it was always 50s or GI before that. It was the first time I ever did the leather, and I was still not comfortable in my skin in it and whatnot. I remember calling up Dan Lentino after this particular second place. And I was like, man, I feel like I'm the biggest loser in the world. I told him that. And he goes, Ryan, he said, what you don't realize is you were fine out there. But Jesse went out there and was so sincere, so in touch and tune with the audience. He was obviously an amazing vocalist. Nobody on that night could have beat Jesse because of how sincere his performance came off.
Oh man,
he told me that. And you know what? That changed me. It changed my perspective on everything. And, you can get, I say this to guys all the time, and I wouldn't say it to them unless I was an example of it. You can take and get down on yourself or be mad or whatnot, or you can learn from it. And man, as soon as he said that to me, it changed me, because I was like, yeah, you know what? I was out there trying to be something that I wasn't, because I'm wearing leather, trying to emulate something. I should have just been me and sincere. And man, especially when singing ballads and whatnot, actually being sincere and feeling them all the way through acting and all that stuff, really being in touch and being sincere. I learned that lesson from you.
Yeah, that was a rough week for me. I remember I got sick that week too and lost my voice that week because of the stress. I was stressing myself out just because I was just like, this is my first contest. This is all these people that are out here that I've been watching on the internet and watching how famous they are and how big they are in the business. And I got to go head to head with these people. Are you kidding me? So I stressed myself out. I had a bit of a sore throat, and I remember Gary Elvis, Britt. He helped me through that. I'll never forget that. And it was literally just something simple like Listerine or something that he gave me, and just to gargle with that. He goes, hey man, he goes, this is what I use here. This is a Listerine. You might want to try it out yourself. So how Gary used to talk, and I tried it out, and I'll be damned if it didn't help and actually get me through to those finals and a couple of the wins that week, man. And
Yeah.
then the Jordanaires, being able to sing with the Jordanaires was really
Yeah.
amazing too.
Yeah. You won on that night, and then you won the following night as well. And that was, I mean, that was such an awesome moment. That I was proud of you, but on a personal level, it was a perfect timing for a well-deserved lesson that it, almost in a weird sort of way, as far as an entertainer, changed the trajectory of me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. I guess I was just doing what I do, but I'm glad that something good came out of it, though.
Yep.
Because it doesn't always happen that way, for some people.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I would rather have that. This is just me. This is just me, man. I am, and I freely admit it. I'm just a computer geek, a nerd. If anybody out there knows anything about my other podcasts, I'm probably crazy too. But all that being said, I am not cool and sexy and all that. And man, I was trying to be something in the leather that I'm not. And I can fool people if I'm just being sincere and being me, and they'll accidentally mistake it as something cool. But man, I'm not. And if I try to be, it's an epic fail. So
I mean,
yeah,
it's hard shoes to fill, right? I mean, we're trying to be like probably arguably one of the best looking dudes that's been around, and he was one of the biggest rock and roll stars around. That's big shoes to fill. It's intimidating to be able to try to be like just to try to be like that is intimidating. So yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
and this is a great point, okay? Because you're absolutely right. Elvis has big shoes to fill, but you also perform as another character who is kind of, I mean, he's awesome and he's cool and whatnot, but there's a totally different feel to the character in the way he looks and the way he sounds, all this stuff.
Yep.
Uh, you go out there and you do Roy Orbison.
Yeah.
And obviously Roy Orbison's voice is so silky smooth and awesome, and you're perfect
Cool.
for it. But man, what's the differences in that, and how do you compare performing as Elvis versus Roy Orbison as far as your likes, loves, your how it works for you, comfortability, all of that stuff?
Well, the Roy is kind of like it's the Roy came along as just like a dare from a friend of mine. And a buddy of mine was always he was a kid that I went to high school with at the time we were kids, and he would always say, "Yeah, man, all Roy Orbison songs sound the same, man. You should do one of his songs." And I used to do like these Halloween shows with different characters in them all the time. I would just try. You would either dress up like somebody and sing a different character, but he's the one that gave me the idea to sing Roy Orbison. My buddy's his name's Dan McWilliams. I'm going to send this to him too so that he can see that I'm giving him some props here. But he's like, you should try that. And I did. And I borrowed my ex girlfriend's son's electric guitar, a pair of glasses that I bought at a gas station, It wasn't even the correct kind, but I was just like in a pinch, and then just a black blazer, and I went in to the local VFW in my old hometown, and I did the Roy show, and people just lost their minds with it, and it kind of just took this whole thing to a whole other level. And so I stopped doing it for a little while because to me at the time that was just a gimmick that I was doing on Halloween for a Halloween show, and I just kept getting more requests to do it again and again and again and again. And so I finally just brought it back and decided to go do a tribute with it. And I've been learning and progressing, and I kind of like to do it my way with it. And the thing I love about the Roy versus the Elvis is obviously the costumes aren't as extravagant or expensive or anything like that. So I don't have to worry if something gets lost. You know, when I'm traveling, I can always get it again. It's not a big deal. It's not like a B&K jumpsuit. If you lose it, you lose it. You're devastated. But with Roy, it's the things that are you can get again. And another good thing about doing both characters for me is you do get a tendency to get burned out every now and then on one or on the business in general. I mean, it's just a very overwhelming business. It's very there's people just at you all the time, just wanting to talk about it. And they mean well, they really do, but it's overwhelming. So where I get burned out with the Elvis, if it's go Elvis, especially if it's competitions and I'm really just kind of hitting them up, then I have the Roy to fall back on, and it kind of makes me feel good. It's a comfortable place for me to be because it's just me. Yeah. I don't have 10,000 other guys trying to do the same thing and compete for that same prize. I have maybe a handful of guys that are so comfortable with what we do that we don't even bother each other. It's not like the Elvis world whatsoever. We're not that competitive. We're not that we don't go after each other's jobs or come in and undercut anybody. It's Roy's is the Roy. I've been fortunate enough to work with his one of his guitar players, one of his original drummers and they all contacted me, which makes me feel great. Yeah. Because I don't think I sound like Roy, but everybody else does. And the reason I say that is because I learned how to sound like Roy by listening to Elvis in the 1960s. They had a little bit of a similar vocal quality when it came to those ballads and stuff. And Elvis's falsetto, although it wasn't as high as Roy's, it was still there. So I was a little bit familiar with that already. So I kind of mixed the two together and came out with Roy. I tried to sing it a little bit like the 60s and add those little inflections that Roy had to try to get that feel. And boy, it's paid off wonderfully. It really has.
Man, whenever you hit certain notes, there's just a quality, and like there's hitting notes, but then there's also a tone and a quality and a sharp, like I don't even know what the right word is. I guess maybe it's tone, but man, when you hit certain high notes with the Roy stuff, man, it hits you. It's like you can feel it, and that's your vocal, and it's like I said, it's not just that it's right there in tune and everything. No, there's something about it that is just powerful. And I mean, you sing your Elvis stuff and it's powerful too. But in my opinion, man, whenever you start like the end of crying and stuff, man, you really feel it. You really feel
it. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that when I get to hear that from my peers more than anything, because I know you guys understand the struggle and you know what this is all about too. So that means a lot to me. Thank you for that.
So you've got this awesome career now, you've been doing it for 20 plus years. Okay. What is, I mean, you've got options, obviously. You've got the Roy, you've got the Elvis. Where do you see yourself? Like, are you building anything towards something? I mean, 5-10 years down the road, you've got like a game plan. What's your vision?
Well, I challenge myself constantly. I just have to. And the one thing I like about the Elvis part of it, and working with ETA or Elvis festivals, Cody Danath and all of those guys, they kind of challenge me every time I work with them. They kind of give me the extra little push, to just kind of amp everything up and just be on my game everywhere I go. But as far as long term goes, I took 8 years already on the production end of this and being an entertainment director when I worked with King of the World and when I worked with Kurt Brown and Terry and myself when we were doing Epic together. So I learned a lot in that 8 years. And I do know that when this is all done, that I would like to at least be behind the scenes and in some sort of a production, whether it be teamed up with a couple of my partners or my buddies, and or on my own and do something, because I just have so many ideas in my head, but I don't have enough time in this body to do it.
Yeah.
So I would like to look towards my peers and everybody that's out there and kind of do like hand select everybody and kind of guide them and help them get to where they need to be. I can't see myself not being involved in it at any level, because I'm just so excited when I get, even now when I get on stage and I hear that 2001, or when I hear the Pretty Woman intro or whatever it is, that excites me. So I still got some gas in the tank for that. But I know that that's not going to be a forever thing, and I think about that a lot. And I just want to be in the. I think I'm going to be in the production end of it, or as an entertainment director. But as long as I'm there and I'm part of the creation of it, into letting other generations understand what this is all about, I think I'll be happy. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at trying to be behind the scenes doing stuff at some point when I don't want to be on that stage anymore. It's a while away, but it's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
while away.
Oh,
But that's why I do think about it all the time, though. I
you've got a
do.
lot of tread on the tires, Jesse. You
I
really
hope
do.
so.
But that's a great segue into another question. As much tread on the tires as you have, what's the tread depth on the Elvis industry, ETA industry, period? I mean, there's a lot of people who feel like over the past 5 to 10 years, there's been a decline, and it's changed. And I don't think there's any doubt that it's changed. And to a degree,
Right.
I understand. I feel like it has declined, and obviously, it's just simple math, man. Older
Right.
people passing away, they were the Elvis fans.
Yeah.
1956 was a while ago, dude.
A
You
long
know,
time ago.
and so let alone 77 was a while ago. So
Mhm.
you know, as that generation gets older, they pass away. A lot of them pass it off to their kids. And now it's almost like we're depending on the kids in
Yeah.
order to elevate this in a world where there's social media, there's AI, there's all these other bells and whistles out there that, I mean, there's Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
too, so, and Michael Jackson. So,
Yeah.
what's the longevity of the industry?
I just think it's, in my personal opinion of that is, I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. I think it's just going to keep getting reinvented, if
Mm.
that makes sense. Uh, when Baz came along and he made the Elvis movie, I was a critic before it even came out. But I was like, nobody's ever going to be. They haven't been able to get this right. They're never going to do this, and then you name all the guys that have played Elvis, and your Don Johnsons and all the goofy ones you name, and you're like, oh, it's never going to be better than Kurt Russell. And then all of a sudden, Baz nails it and makes a pretty damn good movie. And it's almost like he reinvented Elvis the way that he did it and kind of introduced him to this new generation. And the genius behind that was the fact that they picked Austin Butler, who already had a young fan base,
Yeah.
who was going to follow him over no matter what. And now that becomes our fan base now too. Like you said, the original generation, like when you and I started, that were still going to all of this stuff and coming out, they're either gone or passing away. So it's that next generation, and then that next generation coming down, and that next generation we can thank Baz for too, because he made that connection with all of Austin Butler's young fans by putting him in that role, which like I said, I think was genius. I thought Austin did a great job at it. Do I think he was the best Elvis to ever perform him on stage? There's bits and pieces of it, right? I think he was great. I really do, but I liked Michael St. Gerard too when he played Elvis the miniseries, because he had such a great look. And but as far as the way that Baz reintroduced it, it was almost like you're watching a Marvel movie, and it wasn't real, but it was so fantastic, because of all the visual in it. You were like, there was so much to see, and I think that captivated everybody that saw it. And now, when I go to the ETA festivals, or I'm working with these guys, now it's not just us on stage anymore. Now they work on that visual on those screens behind it too. So I don't really think it's going to go anywhere. I just think it's going to keep evolving and changing. So I think it'll be here, especially now. He's been gone longer than he was alive now. So reinventing him the way that Baz did to this new set of fans was just good timing. It was really good timing, because before all of that happened and before that movie came out, you were right. Numbers were dropping everywhere. There wasn't as many people coming out anymore. And then you're like, oh my God, how long are we going to do this? Like Joseph Hall, a good example. Him and I had that conversation many times about stuff. I was doing a cruise with him a few years back, and he says, how long do you think you're going to see yourself doing this, or how long do you think you can do this? And boy, that's just like reality smacking you right in the face with that question. You're just like, wow, it's a great question because you don't think about it, because more times than not, you just want to keep doing it,
Yeah.
and you don't want to think about when it's going to stop. You just want to keep it going. But it's a scary question. But
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, I don't think it's going to stop. I think it'll just keep it'll keep changing, and with the times, and with whatever surrounds it. Like I'm just glad it never got the cancel culture treatment after, because of the times and everything with Elvis and Priscilla, and how
Yeah.
that didn't age well, but it was a different time. People acted different back then, and I'm glad that they all understand that, and that we're not going down that road with him, because he gets enough scrutiny as it is. There's a lot of people over the years made fun of him for his weight and for all of that stuff. So, and that comes along with us too. Like we got to deal with that too. Like, oh look, he's a big Elvis. He's a big. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
He must be the big Elvis. Thank you. But I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I just think it's going to keep changing and getting better, and visually, I think it's going to get better too, as well as vocally, and especially with what it was Emilio did the America's Got Talent, where they had that vision of Elvis on his face, and I'm like, that was pretty amazing. Like I say, things like that I think are going to keep it around, and it's almost like it's being shoved down everybody's throat right now since Baz made the movie. Like, hey, here's another thing of Elvis. Here's another thing of Elvis. Oh, by the way, here's another thing we found: 35 different reels of film that nobody's ever seen before. We're going to give it to you. You
Yeah.
know. So as long as they could keep doing that and kind of reinventing it, and doing something cool with it, I think it'll be around for a while. Even Disney with Lilo and Stitch
Yeah.
relaunching that, and then of course that Elvis thing started all up again too.
Yep.
So I think it'll be around.
Every time pop culture gets a taste of Elvis, or Elvis gets injected into it, it certainly helps. I mean, you saw it, like
Oh
you
my
said,
God!
with Lilo and Stitch, with Baz's movie, and yeah. So, but I will say this: I think that you're right. I think that it is evolving. I think that it has to evolve
Yeah.
because it has to meet the needs of a younger generation who has far more, um, I guess, distractions or whatever.
Right, and
Um,
it takes a lot to captivate them and to like
yeah,
make them pay attention. So the evolution of this is going to be key to it being around a lot longer.
necessary.
Yeah.
Um, and part of that evolution, for right or for wrong, has been, I think, a shift from Elvis fan to ETA fan.
Oh, for sure.
And I've seen
There's a
that.
definite separation there.
Yeah. And I think, to a degree, there always has been a little bit of that. Obviously, people are like, hey, man, I'm a real big fan of Jesse Aron. I love Doug Church. So, or, Sean Clush, whomever it is, there's always been that. It's a
Yep.
little bit bigger, uh, I think now, and maybe that's just necessary. I also think that some of the ETAs kind of promote that as well. Like, hey, be my fan, and then you can come to my shows and festivals and whatnot. And I get it. It's just, I think it's a natural state of the need to evolve in order to keep the thing going, right?
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like, and I noticed it too. Like, I pay attention to everything online. Like, if there's a new ETA, or Graceland is posting results to some contest or something, first thing I do, like for any of that stuff, is I'll go straight to those comments and see how the fans are acting, and they're pretty brutal. They
Yeah.
get some pretty brutal fans in there with their comments. Man, the internet's definitely made people brave with their opinions on things, and I check it out, and I'm like, okay, I can make sure who said what about what I did here, or who said what about what so and so did here. And and if it's somebody talking bad about one of my peers or something, we try to keep them in their place, but respectively, so if we can. Otherwise it could spiral away out of control online. But to each their own, man. The Elvis thing is a sacred thing. I find you can't do anything to the man's image, music, or anything without getting some sort of scrutiny. So we are under fire constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bizarre world, man. And to be in it as long as you have, and myself, it's been a crazy ride that is not, um, listen, it's an honor and a privilege to have been in it, But there is a lot of, escape, whatever you call it, a departure
It's a
from
learning experience for sure.
a departure from the real world
Yeah.
experience, so to speak. But yeah, I'm lucky to have swam in these waters, no doubt about it, man.
Imagine what it's like for people on the outside looking in at our world too. Like, and I don't get that until I go to something else. Like I love horror movies and stuff like that. So if you like go to Comic-Con or something like that and you see people dressed up, that's amusing to me. So like us and what we do has got to be amusing to the general public too, especially guys like us walking around with our hair like this. Like I told you, I had a guy over here looking at my gutters for the house just a little bit ago, and he's just kind of giving me the one over. He's looking at me like, what in the hell's going on? What I get myself into here? And it's a conversation piece. That's why I like, and I tell the guys out there that wear the wigs and stuff like that, I go, can you grow your own hair? And they're like, yeah, I just like to do it like this. And I'm like, grow it once, just grow it one time, grow it out, see what happens, see how it changes your personality and the way you feel about what you do. Because it takes a lot to be able to walk around like this, like when you're not doing that. And
Yeah.
mind you, I'll put a hat on and stuff when I'm not working. I said, but like if we dress up to go out and do something nice, I'm not going to wear my ball cap and my cruddy shirts. I'm going to do my hair and try to equal what my wife looks like and try to look as good as she does, which I don't look as good in the stuff that she wears, I got to admit, but I do my best.
Yeah, we do. We try. We're
Yeah.
trying. Yeah, man. Yeah, if you have your own hair, trips to Walmart become really interesting. I can say
Oh
that.
my God. It's
Yeah.
just like you get stopped or you hear the giggles and the snickers wherever you go. But then like, I find that the newer generation, our generation was brutal. Like Gen Xers would nail you for it, man. They would come at you. They'd give you a hard time. These generation now that's come up, it seems to be a little bit softer about it. And I don't know what changed or what happened, but they're not as harsh with it. You still get certain areas that you go to where obviously you'll get bothered by it, but other than that, it's not as bad. I'm prouder now to walk around like this than I was when I started. Because when I started, I got picked on about it a lot. Even in high school, man, I got picked on all the time for having my hair like this.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
This is a funny thing too. I have another podcast called the Ryan Files, and um, and it's growing, and now we're getting people out of the woodwork who don't know that Ryan Pelton is anything other than Ryan Files. They don't know anything
Right.
about me, and I love that. I absolutely love it, because
Right.
I get to be, Ryan, the UFO conspiracy Nephilim, whatever guy,
Yeah.
but it's just started happening over the past month or so as we grow, and we're getting international audiences now and whatnot. And, there'll be someone says, I'm caught in a trap, in the
I'm a
comments
fan.
or whatever. So it's
I'm
like,
a fan, man. I was listening to it when I was going out to Pennsylvania this last weekend. When I was going out to do a couple shows out there, I listened to a couple of them, and it's just like that's all the stuff that I've been getting into in my older years. Now I've been getting into all the conspiracy theories and the UFOs and all that stuff. So like I always remembered you posting that, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to this on this trip. It's a 14 and a half hour drive, so I love it.
yeah,
I gotta say, I really do. I really do. So I'll be following you on there too now. And that's definitely some of my interests are the same with you as far as that goes too. So that's cool.
I appreciate
Very
it,
cool.
man. I'll tell you
Yeah.
this, whenever you talk about longevity and this business, dude, I would stay in the ETA world for all my life if I could, but physically, arthritis and whatnot catches up to you. It's just quality of life at some point. And I
Yeah.
don't want to be the guy who's, just, I don't know, hurting all the time and whatnot.
Yeah. Wheeling
So
you out.
yeah,
Wheel you out on
no
stage.
wheelchairs.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So yeah, walker or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, I want to always be involved in the world. And obviously this podcast is a great way to do it and connect, but, and just kind of keep the industry, informed, elevated, keep the guys out there, the public. It's a fun way to do it. And I think in its own way, it's a good thing for the industry, but
Yeah.
yeah, the Ryan Files stuff, man, that's like, that is my heart and my future. I know that because I can do that until I die. So,
Because it's so interesting. There's so many different angles and so many different things to do. Like I said, I'm a fan. I'm definitely going to be following that and listening to some of those on my road trips for
I
sure.
appreciate it, man. Hey,
Yeah.
episode 100 coming up this week. 100,
Episode 100.
almost 2 years worth of And yeah,
I know
that's
I
the
got catching up to do. I mean, I just watched a few of them, so I'm like, I got to go all the way back and I got to
uh
follow
start
everything through.
start at year two. Start at year two. Don't
Start
go.
at year two.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't. Year one was rough, but
You hear that, fans? Start at year two. Everything before that was a learning process.
boy, and then some. And it still is, man. But I'm, yeah, slowly but surely. And again, it's like horrible watching yourself. I'm editing these
Yeah.
videos and I'm like, oh, you are such a moron. Why are you doing this?
Got to get cleaned up. Got to look nice. Got to do it all.
Anyway, if you had the special Jesse Aron time machine and you could go back anytime to catch up with Elvis for 1 hour, when would it be? What year? And then, what
Oh,
are the
man.
circumstances and what would you guys talk about?
Well, I'm a big fan of the time machine thing. I'll tell you that right now. And it's not that I haven't had these thoughts, because I have had these thoughts. I would probably go back, man. I would go back to before he was famous, just hanging out in Memphis, I think, and try
Yeah.
to see if I could just hang out with him, because he would
Yeah.
be more approachable, I think, at that point than he would have been later on. Later on, I would have been clobbered by the Memphis Mafia for trying to even get near him. But just like early on, maybe 53, 54, before he goes into Sun
Ooh.
Records, and like just be extra sensitive about not, pushing him on the wrong path. Otherwise, or just screw up the time continuum or whatever,
Yeah, don't
however
do
it
that.
goes. But I don't want to do that, but it's almost like the episode of The Twilight Zone where there was an impersonator that went back in time, and he went to that same time frame right before Elvis went into Sun Studios, and he ended up killing him or something, and he had to take over for him. And I'm like, come on, this is the Twilight Zone. There's no way. None of us could ever do that, man. But I would go back to the 53, 54, right before then, just to kind of see who he was before he blew up, and just kind of just talk to him as a person, and
Yeah.
just about everything, likes, dislikes, and that kind of stuff, just to try to be a friend more than a fan, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Because we already know how he's changed all of our lives, and the fact that he's still changing people's lives this much. To know somebody like that personally, I think would be kind of amazing, and find out who they really, really, really are.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and hopefully it's not one of those, find out who your fans are type of thing. You're like, oh, oof, I've been doing what for so long with this person. He wasn't even very nice. You don't ever want that. But
No.
I don't see that. I don't see that. I mean, I know he had, he was definitely kind of bipolar there towards the end and stuff. But I mean, when you got the weight of the world on you
Yeah.
all the time, and you're trying to keep your head above water in this ocean of rock stars all the time who are always watching you because they're influenced by you, and that's just he's lucky he made it as long as he did, man. 42 years old. It seems young, but once you've passed that time, like I have, and some of my peers, and you realize how young that truly is. But that would have been the time I think I would have gone back. Would be 53, 54, just to
Yeah.
know him before he had the effects of all of that getting at him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's the bizarre thing about that question. It's hard to pick one time, man. I
Yeah,
do wish I could spend like 15 minutes in 4 different places,
yeah.
because
I,
I'd
I
like
would
to
like to
see,
hang around,
yeah, because I would like to
go to a
see,
couple concerts or something.
yeah, because it's like almost like a snapshot. I'd like exactly what you're saying. I'd love to have that. I'd love to have a moment in 56, or a moment in 55 when they're just driving across Texas in the car,
Yeah,
and they haven't made it yet. Or, I would love to be on a movie set. I'd love to be with him in the
yeah,
army, you know.
yeah.
I'd love to be with them backstage, in Las Vegas or so. But I would like to just compare those moments to see how he had
How much he's
changed.
changed. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. How
Yep.
do people find out about the one and only Jesse Aron? Online,
Well,
social media, all that stuff.
you could either go to my actual website, which is jessearon.com, JESSEARON.com. More times than not, even if you spell it wrong, you can find it on Google. Uh, or my social media, like on my Facebook page. I'm pretty active on there with goofy stuff. I'm really myself there. So they're getting like the real raw version of me on there. But as far as like concert dates and where I'm going to be and stuff, just my website, jessearon.com. If you're a Facebook person, I do have an artist page as well. It's it's World Champion Tribute Artist Jesse Aron. I couldn't think of anything shorter. So they can go to that one. It's my artist page on Facebook. And those are the two places that I do. I do a lot of social media stuff, but my website always always a good place to go for flyers, for locations, whether it's Elvis or Roy or whatever it is that I'm doing. It'll be
Hey,
on there.
you stay pretty busy. Anything big coming up?
Right now, I just have a show with my friend Molly. She's going to be doing Patsy Cline, and I'm doing it's a new show that I'm doing, and I'm like trying to fit in the time in the next few weeks to do some rehearsal for it. It's so now, like I said, I do variety sets in my shows now too. I like to do a set of all the music that's influenced me other than Elvis, you know. So now I'm doing the country side of that because I'm a
Oh,
huge country and western fan. So I'm going to do everything from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, probably country wise in a variety set, along, of course, with some country Elvis in there and with the stuff that he did, and then we'll put on the jumpsuit later and do a lot of the country songs that Elvis did towards the end of his life and all of that. So that's what's coming up next, and that's out in Iowa at Cedar Rapids. That I'll be doing that out there, and it's just the Elks Club, just one of the Elks Clubs out there that I frequent and I do the shows with out there. Other than that, I'm going to try my shot at the Ultimate again over in Portage, Indiana, because that's where
okay.
it all started for me. And I've never been able to get back there, but maybe a couple of times, just because my schedule doesn't allow it. And I made sure that I left it open for my schedule this year because I really love Portage. Just like I said, that was that place where I went as a fan
Yeah.
and saw Rick Cicito and saw, Trent Carlini was across town doing a show, and it was just everything that I ever saw was there. All the Elvis's leading ladies were there, and Robert Washington was there when I first started it. And so I have it's a very emotional place for me to go just because that's where it all started for me. And I'm thinking that that would be a nice place to be able to represent the Ultimate if things go well. So that would be wonderful. And then
Yeah.
so that's what I'm kind of aiming towards. Then after that, I'm putting on the shades and going back up to Canada and doing a tour up there with Pete Paquette and Paquette Productions again. We're going out in Ontario. We'll be all over Ontario.
That's awesome, man. Dude, good luck. That'd be awesome for it to come full circle for you at Portage.
I hope
Um,
so. Oof.
yeah, yeah, man. Just dude, be sincere. And I remember Dan Lentino said it. So
Yes.
sincere, he was so sincere, no one could have beat him that night. And that's awesome.
I will never forget that.
Yeah, it's good. It's awesome. Packers gonna win the Super Bowl this year.
Man, I'm telling you, like, thank you, Dallas. Number one, I'm so
Hey, yeah.
happy for that. I don't know if somebody got drunk in Dallas when they were making that decision, but you know what? We're forever thankful for that. And now, who do we just get? We just got somebody from the Eagles too. I think it was just the other day that we got somebody from the Eagles. I can't remember who it was, but that's a big deal too because he had like three different Super Bowl rings, and now he's on our team. And I'm just hoping the coaching doesn't do what they normally do. I find that the Packers tend to get all of these good players and they don't necessarily let them develop into better players. They're just like, yeah, okay, he's not working. We're going to let him go. And then, your quarterback's left not knowing anybody and bring in the new troops next year. So it seems like we're on the right path this year, though. So we will see. I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful.
Your GM, Gutekunst, he, man, he's made some choices over the years. I was just like, I don't know. And then,
Who was that now?
Your GM, Gunta Goose.
Oh, yes.
He's made some.
Yeah, no, we're still kind of living in Aaron Rodgers' shadow and trying to get out of that.
Yeah.
And the only saving grace we have is watching, him kind of ping pong around and understand that he's not quite happy where he's at right now either. So, but
No.
it's Jordan Love, man. He's not a terrible quarterback. They definitely put all their stock in one guy, but and then we got Malik now for our second that they were trying to trade off yesterday. I think it was the Cleveland Browns or somebody who wanted him and sent an offer. And then thank God he didn't take it because I think he's pretty talented too. We haven't had backup quarterbacks that were that talented for a while either.
And you need them.
Always depended on. We definitely need them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
a lot of
injuries happening.
I mean, we're week 3, 5 starting quarterbacks aren't starting this coming week, which is, that's significant. So,
yeah.
Well, man, listen, this has been awesome. Dude, I appreciate you. Appreciate catching up with you and just keep on keeping on. Go kill it at Portage and go to the Ultimate and win that thing.
And listen, I've got Branson on my schedule too. I've been wanting to do it for years. I'm like, Pete's always got me in Canada, and I'm like, I gotta get to Branson. I gotta get that on my schedule. So I might have to forego one of those tours just so that I can come down there because I really want that. It's been on my bucket list for like the last decade at least to get there.
Down.
So
come on down.
So
we'll have some fun.
it's in my crosshairs. I'm trying to get there. So
awesome, man. All right, brother. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Jesse Aron with 1A.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you all, and I will see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in this week to the ETA Files. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join the ETA Files community. And if you're looking for something a little different, be sure to stop by my podcast, The Ryan Files. Keep rocking, my friends, and I'll see you next week with another story from the Elvis Tribute Artist world. In the meantime, check out these video links below.